If you fail to record your vocals properly, you will end up with a song that sounds unprofessional, unfinished, and lead to less streams, less fans, and a up music career overall. Whether you're an artist, producer, or engineer, your next song has the potential to take your music career to a whole nother level. But all that energy could be wasted if you don't capture your vocals properly at the source. So what makes a good vocal recording? What do professional recording engineers know that you don't? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 steps you could take to make sure you get the absolute best quality recordings for your vocals. So if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because it really does help out the channel. Step number 1, recording in a proper room. The first step on our list is arguably the most important, but sometimes the most overlooked. You could have the best song in the world, but if you record your vocals in an untreated room, the chances of that recording and that song sounding good are slim to none. The issue with recording in an untreated room is that you will often have multiple surfaces that reflect sound, leading to unwanted echoes and reverberations that will be captured in your recordings. And if you don't think recording in a treated room is important, then try recording all your vocals in the bathroom and see how good you can make that sound. Not only that, but when you're recording in an untreated room, you're more likely to run into standing waves and room modes, which in simple terms are frequencies that can build up or cancel out, leading to an uneven frequency response in your vocals. This can create peaks and nulls in your recordings that will be a pain in the ass to fix it in the mix. Recording in untreated rooms also has higher chances of picking up outside noises, which is something that you absolutely do not want within your vocals. So to fix this, I highly suggest that you invest into some acoustic treatment for your recording setup. I recommend using thick rock wool or fiberglass panels because those will treat your room the best. Another tip I would recommend is to not record in small rooms like isolation booths and closets, because that is the quickest way to introduce boxiness or muddiness to your vocals, which again will take you much longer to just fix it in the mix. Again, we just want to make this as easy as possible for you here. Step number 2, setting up your session properly. After you fix your room treatment, the next thing that I would highly recommend for you is to set up your recording session properly. Now you may be thinking, I already know how to set up my session, I don't need to fix this. Well, you're wrong, because a lot of the recording sessions I've received to mix have been completely fucked up and has led me to think otherwise. And I guarantee you're probably missing out on one of these crucial steps. And I blame all the preset and template academies for this one. Session mistake number 1. You're not setting the BPM of your session to match the instrumental. It is absolutely important that the first thing you do is find the BPM of your beat and match that in your session. If you don't do this, then all of your time-based effects will be completely off, such as your delays and your reverbs. Not only that, but if you don't have the proper BPM set in place, it'll be much more difficult for you to copy over hooks and verses to other sections of the songs because the grid will be completely off. So to fix this, you could use your DAW's default BPM finder, but if you don't want to do that, then you could use something like TuneBat, which is a free website where you could find the key and BPM of your song. But if you want to take it a step further, then I would recommend for you to invest into a software called Mix and Key, because this does all of this for you as well. And personally, I found it to be more accurate when it comes to telling you the key and BPM without having to open up the browser all the time. But for this example, I'm just going to show you the free option, which is TuneBat. All you have to do is upload your downloaded beat into TuneBat, and right here it will show you your key and BPM of your song. The only thing left is to copy those settings into your DAW. Now, just because you do this does not mean that you're in the clear, because I see a lot of people missing out on this one crucial step that will still throw off your sessions, which is slicing the empty space at the beginning of MP3 files. If you import any MP3 file into your DAW, you will always have a little bit of dead space in the very beginning of that MP3 track. And a lot of people simply don't know this or just forget to cut it out completely, and can still throw off your time-based effects such as your delays, because everything will be nudged slightly because of that dead space in the beginning of the MP3 file. So to fix this, simply just zoom into the beginning of the instrumental file and then cut off the dead space of the MP3. Once you cut the dead space, just drag the instrumental back and everything should be lined up on the grid, ready to go. Also keep note that if you're using WAV files instead of MP3 files, you could completely skip this step, which is why I always recommend for you to record over WAV files whenever you can. Session mistake number 2, you're recording over the default instrumental volume. Nowadays, a lot of producers like to send artists their instrumentals loud, and I don't blame them. That's very crucial. But if you record your vocals over the beat like that, then that's going to be an issue because your vocals will have no room to sit in within the mix. And a lot of times what ends up happening is that people will turn up their preamps to hear their voice louder, but fail to realize that this is causing their vocals to clip and distort everywhere, which means that your vocals are redlining, passing that digital 0, creating nasty distortion and artifacts that will absolutely not be able to be fixed within the mix. To fix this issue, all you have to do is just turn down the volume of the instrumental before it hits the fader. To do this in Pro Tools, just go over here where you see the fader symbol and turn down your beat by -6 or -11 dB, depending on how much room you need to record your vocals. If your vocal signal is still coming in too hot, then turn down the instrumental more and turn down the mic preamp more to compensate for that. The reason why you want to do this before the fader and not with the fader is because of gain staging. If you only turn down the instrumental with the fader, then that means the signal coming before the fader is still running hot, which means that when you try processing your instrumental with plugins, it will be overloading your plugins, causing your mix to not sound as best as it could be. But once you do all of this right, then you're good to record. Just make sure that after you're done recording, you go to your mix bus or master track and put on a limiter to turn up the volume of your song, so that way when you play it on other systems, your song isn't too quiet. Step number 3, making sure you're not recording with too many effects. When you first start recording, you may be thinking, why doesn't my voice sound good? Do I need to use more vocal effects? What preset should I use? And I'm here to tell you that that's the wrong approach. I get that you want your vocals to sound good, everybody does, and that's arguably the most important part to get right in the mix. But 9 times out of 10, if you're recording your vocals properly, you do not need to fill up your chain with 1,000 plugins. A lot of professional recording engineers actually do the minimum when it comes to recording vocals, which, as boring as it sounds, is just auto-tune if you're going for that sound, slight EQ if you really need it, and compression. And that's in the box, not to mention outside of the box where they have their actual hardware chains like microphones, preamps, and hardware compressors. And if you want to catch more of a vibe when recording, then typically what engineers will do is throw on reverb and delay by a send, and that's it. Do not overcomplicate it. It's really that easy. A lot of the sound that you're looking for isn't coming from effects. It's coming from your delivery and how you choose to make your voice sound.
Voice is special, bitch.
Voice special, man. I guess my voice.
And I'm sure you've heard all the fuss about vocal presets and vocal templates doing everything for you, and I'm here to tell you that that's just some complete false advertising bullshit. Not only that, but I've also seen a lot of artists make the excuse that if they don't have their vocal template or their vocal preset, then they can't record. And why do you think that is? Well, it's because when you're recording with a lot of effects, you're masking your true performance, tuning your ears towards the masked sound.
All the way up there. Yeah.
Which is something I recommend for artists to avoid. You want to be able to record wherever you go and with whatever gear you have. Having the excuse of needing specific plugins or gear to record your voice only holds you back, and we're not making any excuses here. You literally have to keep recording to develop that sound and discover your own unique artistic voice. Step number 4. Proper microphone etiquette. When recording, it is absolutely essential for you as an artist to have proper microphone etiquette. A microphone is a tool that when used properly can get you a lot of cool tones, especially if you're intentional with how you're recording. To start off simple, let's say you want to get a clean lead vocal for your entire track. How would we achieve that? Well, we get that by understanding the distance of the microphone from our mouth. To keep that consistent sound, you're going to want to make sure that when you're recording, your mouth is the same distance from the microphone at all times. Again, this is just an example for a simple clean vocal, but if you're recording and one take you're further away from the microphone and the next take you're closer to the microphone, those 2 takes are going to have a completely different sound. And when you're processing your vocals after recording, it's going to take you much longer to get them to sound right, especially if you're inexperienced with mixing. But now that we know how the position of our mouth compared to the position of the microphone affects our sound, we can now use that to our advantage. I like to call this working the microphone. Let's say there's a part in your song where you have some deep, intimate lyrics. You could then move closer to the mic and speak much softer, and that energy will be captured and translated to your listener. But when you get up and excited, you can proceed to then take a step back. These advanced recording methods will allow you to create interesting sections within your songs intentionally, creating a more engaging and more exciting listening experience. And it doesn't stop there. You could work the microphone for different sections such as leads, ad-libs, layers, doubles, stacks, your chorus. The possibilities are endless, which is a method that a lot of pro vocalists know how to utilize. And step number 5, organizing the session as you record. This last tip can save you the headache from going back to your session and not understanding what the fuck anything is. If you've done music long enough, then you may have come across a session that looks like an absolute mess. And from a productivity standpoint, this holds you back from finishing your songs as quickly as you can because you have to play each track one by one to understand what anything is. That's why whenever I'm recording, I always label my tracks. My future self thanks me later whenever I see a neatly organized track because I don't have to use any extra brain power to figure out what anything is. All I have to do is sit down and process the vocals however I need. That's why for this last tip, just make sure that you organize your tracks during your session. The way that I like to do it is if I have specific leads, I'll label all my lead tracks accordingly. Same thing goes for my hooks, ad-libs, layers, you name it. Just figure out an organization method that works best for your brain and do it during your recording session. That last part is crucial because realistically, if you're fast enough, that should only take you a few seconds. And if you already have the session open, might as well get it done so that way you don't have to worry about it later. And although it seems like such a small thing, I guarantee that if you practice this, You will finish more songs faster and get higher quality recordings overall. Boom, congratulations, now you have super high quality vocal recordings for your music. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and if it did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn even more about recording, then click the link below to check out our Pro Tools recording course. In this course, I will take you on a step-by-step process showing you how to be a professional engineer, allowing you to make the best music possible in the shortest amount of time, stress-free. And if you want to learn more about how to mix your vocals, then you won't be able to do that until you check out this video right here. So tap the link on your screen and I will see you guys there. Peace.